Hey, welcome back engineers. So for this video, we're going to go ahead and create this blower scoop right here. Notice that we created a shell at the end of this part, and we actually have an open cavity throughout the entire piece in the inside. So let's go ahead and get started. So to get started, make sure you actually have your units set up to inches. Go ahead and do that change. So we want to start off our sketch on a front plane. Let's go ahead and select the front plane, select sketch. We're going to call this Scoop Inlet Profile A. So Scoop Inlet Profile A. And let's click out. So now let's go ahead and make this. Notice we need a construction line and 3 circles that are at the same size. So let's go ahead and view our front plane. We're going to click on the line, select our construction line, and we're going to make a horizontal line just like that. So now we're going to make that line 12 inches long. So let's select the dimension tool. So letter D, notice I selected the dimension tool. This is now 12 inches. And I'm going to place this point right at the center, or close to the center. So let's click on the point, select the line. We're going to open up this drop-down menu right here, and we're going to select midpoint. So now the point is centered right on the construction line. So now we're going to click on our point and our origin, and we want to select vertical. So now let's go ahead and select our dimension tool, select the construction line and our origin, and now we're going to add a height value of 15. And we're going to zoom out. Let's go ahead and exit out of our dimension tool. So at this point, we're going to add 3 circles. One is centered about this point here. Another is centered here. And our last one is centered here. So in this situation, let's go ahead and select tangent. So our letter T, or tangent, we're going to select this circle. And we're going to select this circle here, and these two. So notice now they're all touching, and we have our tangent relationships. So now we're going to make sure that all of these circles are equal to each other. So let's select your equal tool and select the circles. So notice we only have these two equal to each other. So let's make sure these two are equal. And now we're going to select our dimension tool, click on one circle, and it should already read 6 inches. If you have any errors, take some steps back and make sure it looks like this. So we're going to stay on the same sketch. Notice we're still on Scoop Inlet Profile A. We're going to create 4 circles. So just place them anywhere. Doesn't matter where. So now we're going to select our tangent relationship. We're going to make sure that these circles are tangent to the 2 larger ones. So small, big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small, big, and small, big again. We're also going to make all of these circles equal to each other. So select your equal tool, and we're making all of these equal. All right, so now all of the circles are equal to each other. So we're good to move on. I'm deselecting equal. So now step 3, we're going to use our trim tool. So select the trim feature, and we're going to trim this off, this top portion, this piece, inside, 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 outside, outside. And now step 4, we're going to add a radius for our arcs. So go ahead and select the dimension tool, click one of these arcs, and we're going to put a value of 3. And it's dimensioned out. Now let's go ahead and accept this. And this is what we should have right here. Now for step 5, let's switch our view. We're going to create a sketch. We're going to title it Profile B. And we are going to select the mate connector. We're going to zoom in. Let's select the origin. And notice that this green piece is pointing to the word top, and this is pointing towards the right side, and this is pointing towards the top as well. All right, so now we need to select this point right here. We're going to add 2 dimension values right here. So once again, to get there, I clicked on this right here, this feature. So let's change our Y value to 12. So notice we are still in the top plane, but now we're going to go up on the Z direction with the value of 10. So 12 and 10, and hit enter. Now we're projecting upwards. All right, so now let's close this. Reorient. Let's go to the top view. So we're going to work with this right here. Let's select our point, and we're going to place that right at the center of this mate connector. All right. So now let's go ahead and select our line construction. And we're going to place this horizontally like that. And we're going to set it as a midpoint to the point that we just created right here, where this is also going to be horizontal. So we're good to go. This is going to have a value of 7. And now we're going to select the horizontal slot tool. So if you don't see this, it should be under offset, select slot, and click this line. And this should have a value of 6.875. So if it's any different, just go ahead and select the value and put 6.785. Oops, 6.875 and hit enter. Now we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. So select the trim area and select split. Just add these points wherever we find, or wherever we can right here. All right. So now we're going to set these points vertical to each other. So this top to the bottom, I'm going to set it vertically. Once again, I click on this one, and I select my vertical. And I'm going to place these at a distance from this point at a value of 1.375. So once again, I click on the point. This piece right here is go down. It should have a value of 1.375. I'm going to go ahead and move that so we can make it more visible. And now this is fully defined, so let's accept our sketch. And this is what we should have now. For step 10, we're going to create profile C on our top plane. So let's go ahead and hide profile B. We do sketch. We're selecting the top plane. I'm going to go to the top view, zoom out a little bit. Now let's create the center point rectangle. So notice center point rectangle. I'm going to hover over the origin. I don't click anything. And then I place it here. So I'm going to select the center. Notice my dimension tool. I click here, the origin, and I place it at a value of 18.75. And we're also going to rename this as Profile C. And just click out. For step 11, we're adding these arcs. So select 3-point arc. We click the top left, top right, hover up a little bit, bottom left, bottom right, hover down a little bit. We're going to set these equal to each other. So equal to top and bottom arc. And now we're going to use the dimension tool to place a value for this arc at 10.5. So we're going to use our trim tool. So select trim. We're going to delete this bar and this bar right here. All right, so now we're going to use sketch fillet. Select this point, select this line, this arc. We're going to change this value to 1. And we're going to do the same thing over here. So the vertical, right, and the arc again. Click out this area, and we're going to round out this bottom left corner over here. Now we're going to add all of these dimensions right here. So we're going to use the dimension tool. We're going to click on this point and this point, and we're going to add a value of 8. Notice it looks kind of awkward. So let's select vertical and click on this line here. And then we're going to select horizontal, and we're going to select this point and this point. So once again, this line is now vertical, and these points are horizontal. So make sure that you make those horizontal. Last dimension, so click the dimension tool, select this point, the center point here. Let's add a value of 5. So now we have a value of 18.75 from the origin, arc value of 10.5 with the radius of 10.5. The vertex of this radius is 5 inches away from the center. This looks a little off, but it's good. All right, let's go to step 14. Actually, let's accept this. Let's see what we have. We're going to use profile B. It's looking good. Now for step 14, we're going to add another mate connector. So let's go ahead and click sketch, rename as profile D, select mate connector, and we're going to place it right at the origin. Click this icon here, click it again. We're going to place it at a value of y value of 23.375. Hit enter. Whoops. Let's go back there again. So we're going to push this down with a z value of negative 5.25. And go ahead and exit this. So we're going to hide these two right here. So hide profile B and hide profile C. And go to your top view. At this point, let's go ahead and add a point right at the center here. For step 15, we're going to create a center point rectangle again. That's centered at this point here. And in this situation, we're going to add these dimensions. So a value of 18 here. And this value is going to have a value of 10. Let's go ahead and use our sketch fillet. So click here and here. Notice it already has a value of 1. So we're going to keep doing that to all the edges so they can be rounded. And we go ahead and accept the sketch. So at this point, we have 4 different sketches. We're going to select, for step 16, our loft tool. So select loft. You're going to select this sketch, profile B, profile C, profile D. We're going to switch this part right here to normal to profile with a value of 2. This is also going to be normal to profile with a value of 1. And then we accept. For step 17, we're going to extrude this bottom face. So select this face, hit extrude, and let's put a value of 2 right here. And go ahead and accept. Or actually, let's rename it as outlet extrude. And make sure it's add. All right, notice we're not using new, this is add, and it's going to it's merging with scope. Its merge scope is with part 1, and accept. For step 18, we're going to create a new plane. This is going to be used to create another drawing on here. So go ahead and select plane. We're selecting the front plane. We're clicking offset, and we're placing it at a value of 1. Oh no, we're putting a value of 0.25. And now we have to switch this direction so we can go towards our object. All right, so notice the plane was switched going this way towards our object. And we're going to switch the name to inlet splitting plane. So rename inlet splitting plane and accept. For step 19, we're using the split tool. To go ahead and click on split, we're going to create another part. Parts and surfaces or curves to split is this object. We're splitting it with our inlet splitting plane. And notice we just created this line right here. And we're going to rename this as split inlet. And we accept. Okay, so for this portion, let's actually hide this face here. So once again, this is part 1. We're hiding this part right here. And we're keeping this portion here. So you're going to select shell. So let's go ahead and click on shell. We're going to select this face and then this face down here. And notice we've hollowed out everything in the inside, but make sure your shell thickness is at 0.1. And it's called shell scoop wall thickness. Shell wall scoop thickness. And just accept. For step 21, we're creating this drawing on our part number 1. So go ahead and view this again. We're going to go to the front side. And notice we want to view this sketch right here. So make sure we're seeing scoop inlet profile A. And we're going to create a few circles. So select this face, select this face, select sketch. We're going to create 3 circles. One there. And notice they're connected to our points that we created earlier. So now we're going to make all of these circles equal to each other. So select all the circles and select equal. We're going to add a dimension of 5.625. 5.625 and hit enter. And before we get out of this sketch, well, I guess we can call it that. So we're going to call this inlet holes. Accept the drawing. And now what we're going to do, we're going to select extrude. And we're going to select the inlet holes right here. And we're going to click remove. And notice we're merging with part 1. So go ahead and click and accept. Or actually click through all and accept. All right, so make sure you do it like this, because if you select merge with all, you're going to get rid of this back portion here. We do not want this, so do not click merge with all. Make sure it's merging with part 1. And that'll get the right configuration. And we'll call this inlet hole cut and accept it. And now for step 23, we're going to use our Boolean function. And we're pretty much creating a union between part 1 and part 2. And notice we now have one part. So go ahead and accept. And this is our blower scoop. To make sure you made this correctly, on step 24, it's going to show us that we need to measure out this item right here that's highlighted. So select this face. And you should have a reading right here that will give you the correct reading for the self-check. So make sure you go ahead and use a self-check to check the correct answer. Thanks for watching, and check out the other videos.